Yes, as you said, I'm Wayne Coffey. I've been working with eCIFM now for a few years as we've moved further and upgraded our systems to catch up with the current decade. So I'm going to go ahead and run through a little bit of statistics on our district and then how we have been using TRIRIGA. So we're about a mid-sized school districts compared nationwide. We range from between 47 to 49,000 students per year right now. Covering about 145 square miles. We're definitely not the only school district in the city, but we're the largest one. We've got 112 sites, 90 of which are schools, and 22 other sites used for, some of which we lease out, some for administrative use. Many buildings per site in most cases, averaging around 9 million square feet total. I mean, lots of acreage. Wide range of ages as well. We have some brand new modern buildings. We have some that are over 100 years old. So average 67 years is a midpoint of a large margin. Working with the budget there, 46 million. Large portion goes to custodial and then maintenance and then other sources, mostly for upgrades and capital projects. So our main needs from the facilities perspective is an enterprise facility management system. We initiated that by consolidating our facility management and maintenance management softwares, which had previously been isolated, and then ultimately to integrate that with our CAD data so that we have some seamless reporting between changes to schools, processes going on at the schools, and the ability to make good decisions around that data. So for what eCIFM has been providing for us with TRIRIGA is unifying the operations space management tools we use with AutoCAD data using the CAD integrator, and ultimately being able to create an interface that all our users can connect to. That's changed some over the years, and the mobile tools definitely fit a new piece into that. And ultimately, the last leg of this has been to build a condition assessment module to facilitate our capital projects. So we'll go through the timeline here in a minute, but we basically moved from the facility manager in CAD, building a request center database, and then onward to maintenance management and mobile connectors. So we started in 2000 with the facility center, developed the web requester and CAD integrator. 4 years later, built the TRIRIGA Reserve 3.0 in 2006. 2009, facility center went to TRIRIGA, and we followed with that upgrade and did some platform changes, some pretty significant ones here. Facility assessment came online that year, 2009, which allowed us to pass a bond measure. We basically, with translation of data out of an old Magellan system, made some modifications to Work Task Manager to make it more shop-oriented. And then this last year, we've been going through the upgrade from the old 9 version into the newest IBM 10.4. And that's been both a platform upgrade, an application upgrade, and also the addition of the TRIRIGA Mobile, which was kind of the key component to this, given that our maintenance guys have to be able to efficiently get their data reported to us. And to do that without spending a lot of money on licensing was our goal. So we can talk about that now in the next slide. So to just kind of cover really quick before we get into a demonstration, we have about 85 maintenance technicians that work in the field. Currently, or before we did On the Go, they basically filled out paperwork, they brought it back to the shop, and then translated all that paperwork into a web interface, essentially, or handed the data to the foreman to do the work. For work orders, we push through 2,500 a month on average. That can obviously change with seasonal fluctuations. The problem is, of course, is most of our work orders are driven by emergencies, and those emergencies have to get translated previously by phone call. So once the technician's out in the field, getting the work task information to them is very difficult. So the on-the-go creates a web-connected interface that updates on real time. It also eliminates the redundancy in the data industry, obviously the paperwork, as I mentioned, and basically allows the technicians to focus on their job and not the documentation as much. And it has resulted in some early on. We've detected some increased efficiency, roughly 25%. So with that, we can get in and look at the tool. So you can see when you first open up the mobile app on your tablet, you've got just a simple interface here. You log in, log out, and we can go into the work tasks. And this will break down into a couple different pieces. 1 second here. It's really important to be able to sync the data. The data doesn't automatically sync. You need, at least for our purposes, it was important to have the technicians have control of that so they didn't lose any data on their local end. So the technician will sync their data up and then go in and look at their work tasks that they're given for the day. And you can see it's broken down by 2 panels, left and right. The left panel is a general list of all the work tasks for the day, which can be broken down into the corrective, preventative, or completed tasks. There are also filters below that kind of allow them to sub-query the data down. We chose priority because emergency work tasks are obviously a driver for us, and then location, which is based on the school. And if emergencies aren't driving in and they're looking at other work tasks, the date that it's assigned essentially to help give them a sense of the SLA priority. So one can select the filters, submit it, and query down further. But then once you select on a work task in the left pane, then your right pane basically just breaks down the details further. So you can see for us, we follow a task ID. We use a task name and a description. For your maintenance technicians, a lot of them aren't so much data savvy. They just need to know what the job is, and this is what's going to tell them, and that's how that drives our workforce. Task type for us, we have preventative and corrective tasks, so this is not as useful in this case. But the key is that your attributes are totally configurable based on your needs. So at the bottom of this, you can see there's a number of other selections, the assets, material orders, and whatnot. For us, the primary use is the notes and the time entry. So one can add a note, put in a few entries about the condition of the work task. They can also complete that and actually attach a picture that goes with the notes. And inside TRIRIGA, there's a notes and documents section that those will be populated in. And then really the key piece for us, what was really important was for the, oh, sorry, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the Add Docs. So if we go into the Add Docs section, one can capture an image, pull from a file of either photos you've already taken or take a new photo. You can also, if the technician has local documents stored on their tablet, they can use the browse documents to attach them as well. The key piece for us, though, is the time entry. So this, for us, a technician can essentially put the time to each work task as they're working on it. So they go in, they have the work task open, they add time. They can select by the time type, so they can document their holiday pay. Obviously, they wouldn't be attaching holiday pay to an active work order. We keep non-production work orders for them to attach holiday pay to. But they can put their overtime in, all the other time entries, whatever that is. So they select a date and enter the time. Now, originally this had the ability to set a timer. You could start a timer for a work task and track your time, which some found very useful, but others it became cumbersome, so we disabled it just for our purposes. But that was an option to use. So then once they're done, they can save the time entry, and then you can see in the left or in the right, left panel, it summarizes those hours for them there. When we go back and look at the actual time card, we'll see something similar to this as well. And the time is modifiable as long as the technician hasn't uploaded the time yet to the server. They can reconfigure the time if they made a mistake. So there's some other features in here I don't think we need to focus on as much, but they're all options there. We're not taking advantage of all of the options yet. It's still a work in progress. Our goal is mainly to focus on the time, but one can build in procedures, they can add assets, they can work with the material orders. Some of our technicians are using some of the material tools for their purposes. It's not a universally used option, but it has proved useful for some of them. Okay, so then once a work order's been added time to it, and the action, we can actually change the status as well on the action page. Technician can complete the work order, and it'll if there's no other complications, it'll close out on the other end and save the foreman the hassle of having to close the work orders out themselves. And that's helpful for getting our metrics correct in terms of closeouts per month, and being able to really get a good sense of how efficiently we're getting the work done. That had been a problem for us in the past because of paperwork backlog, so that's been a real bonus. So now I guess we can go back and look at the time card. So once the time entries are entered, they're going to get gathered up and aggregated in this time card. By default, it's going to open up to the daily timesheet, so the work technician is going to see what they worked on for that day. But if they look at if they go to up at the top next to the add button, they can look at by week, and they can get their weekly summary. So technician for this week, he's accomplished 28 hours so far. For our shop, they're driven by that 40 hours. They're looking to meet their 40-hour work week and stop unless they've been directed otherwise. So for them, it's really important to be able to keep track of this in a good, precise way. So, but for reference, they can also go back and look at the previous week's work tasks before they move off the tablet. If they need to go back and revisit what they did on work order that's been continuing, that might give them a sense of how to work in their hours for this week. These aren't modifiable, like I said. Once the tasks have been uploaded, that the time has to get modified in the main database. But once they've been inside the timesheet, they can continue to add time from the timesheet as well. So if they're back at their current work week, they can go in and add a new time entry. And it looks a little different than the work order time entry, but it's essentially the same process. They just have to find the task ID. And what we did is we built an aggregated field here that's based on the task ID and the description. Task IDs are useful for us, the data wonks, but for the technicians, they don't keep numbers in their heads, and they generally follow a description of the job to figure out what they're doing. And then they can continue to add the time, select the date, time category, and it'll continue to add time to the worksheet. So that's the basic overview. The last key part again is the following the syncing procedure. It's pretty fail-safe. as long as the technician is keeping track of doing their syncs often enough, then the data is going to come through and keep up to date. I guess probably the biggest issue we have is a technician will forget to sync, and they'll get confused because they can't see their work orders. But they've learned pretty quickly. It's like once they just hit download, it updates them. And without the work orders, they can't do much. So they usually have as good a self-reminder in that respect. So with that, some of the feedback we've gotten in general. Again, you've got to keep in mind that this is a union workshop with a lot of actually older technicians, some of which are pretty resistant to technology. So getting the buy-in on this early on was a little difficult, but we gave a lot of buffer time to work with the development environment and pull these guys aside for a few hours a week to work on this. And once we went live and worked out a couple of the kinks, overall, the response has been very positive. I think in general, we can say that the guys who didn't feel like computers were their thing and they were being handed technology they wouldn't be able to embrace, they found that because of good application development on eCIFM's part, the simplicity of the app really made it hard for them to get lost. You go forward, you go back, you click on a few tabs, you change the data, and they're done. Some of the more savvy users have, obviously figured out uses that we didn't even expect. Like in case of our electricians, most of them are pretty organized with regards to parts ordering and suppliers, and they found that having both the notes and documents and the material order list, they can go to a supplier and just scroll through their work tasks, really quickly figure out what they need, add the data using some of their other applications on the tablet, and save a whole lot of time. So, and then of course others have just, once they get past the intimidation of the technology, their lives are a lot easier with it. So with that, I guess we should say, for future uses, we definitely are looking at condition assessment field tools. We currently are expecting to use mostly consultants to do our facility assessment, and giving them a tool that easily allows them to get the data reported back to us without having to do any complicated spreadsheets or manual paperwork entering is going to be really useful. We're considering a service request mobile app for principals and custodians to use to be more quickly able to get their data reported up. But I guess to cover the general solution and what it's provided us, tons of steps have been collapsed now. Again, the paperwork monster will still be with us for a long time, but we've tamed it considerably. The time card piece is instrumental to good personnel management. Our maintenance technicians have a very unique contract provision about getting paid once a week. It's outside of the scope of the rest of our staffing. So this app solves a lot of those problems for us. And communication efficiency, that's the big one for me. Good reporting requires good communication and on-time communication. So having this data coming in off the field on time is a big plus for us.